before your thoughts begin to spiral and the weight of the world rushes in. Be still. This moment is not a delay, it's a divine appointment, a sacred whisper before the day unfolds. You were never meant to carry it all. Many of us wake already overwhelmed, trying to organize the future, control our families, and fix what only God can touch. The world teaches that survival depends on planning, that safety comes from prediction, but the Word of God says something different. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Psalm 91 begins not with action, but with stillness, not with doing, but with dwelling. Trust doesn't mean you're fearless. It means you've decided to be led, even in the valley. Psalm 23 reminds us, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul." Your peace does not come from knowing the path. It comes from knowing the shepherd. You weren't called to be the driver, only the devoted passenger of divine love. When your heart fights for control, that's the moment Jesus invites surrender. His message today is not "hold it all together," but "let me hold you." You don't have to earn peace. You inherit it when you stop trying to earn control. The illusion that you must manage everything is the very thing robbing you of peace, joy, and breath. Lisa Bevere once said, "Peace isn't passive, it's a powerful defiance of chaos." So let go of the outcomes, your finances, your health, your family, your future. Let God, who sees the end from the beginning, lead you into a story better than what you could write on your own. God, I release my grip. I surrender the weight of what I cannot fix. Be my shepherd, my refuge, and my fortress today. I dwell in your shadow. I trust you more than I trust my fear. What would shift in your spirit if you truly believed you didn't have to carry everything? What would it feel like to be led instead of forced? Who could you become if you trusted God more than your anxiety? I dwell under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. Place what's weighing on your soul into God's hands. Let this prayer be your shield. Trust the one who walks on water. There's a voice that wakes before the alarm. It doesn't shout, but it's familiar. It whispers, "What if you fail today? What if something goes wrong? What if there's not enough?" This is the voice of fear, the quiet thief that enters before your feet touch the floor. But God's presence comes earlier. His message is not scolding, but shelter. Psalm 91 wasn't written for the fearless. It was written for the fearful who choose to trust. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. This is not the absence of danger. It's the promise of divine shelter in the midst of it. Trust doesn't ignore reality. It rests in a greater one. Anxiety demands control. Trust says, "Even here I will stay in God's shadow." Psalm 23 echoes it. "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." Pope Leo XII once shared that trust is not the absence of concern, but the refusal to let concern lead. And T.D. Jakes reminds us that when fear is loudest, your breakthrough is often closest. You may hear fear knocking, but you don't have to open the door. Let God's word answer instead. Say aloud, "I will not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day." These are not poetic sentiments. They are spiritual defenses. God says, "Do not fear what they say. Do not fear what you can't yet see. I am with you." His presence is not passive. It goes ahead of you. It surrounds you. He prepares places you haven't reached, answers questions you haven't asked, and secures blessings you haven't imagined. You don't have to chase peace. You are already covered. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. Lord, when fear rises up, let your word rise louder. I hide myself in you today. Cover me with your feathers. Help me remember you are not just beside me. You are before me, behind me, and within me. I dwell in you. What fear has been trying to lead your decisions lately? What might shift if, every time fear whispered, you declared Psalm 91 instead? Who around you needs to know they're not alone in their fear? He shall cover me with his feathers, and under his wings will I trust. His truth shall be my shield and buckler. Write this verse somewhere, you will see it today. Let fear be met not with panic, but with presence. Let scripture rise higher than the noise. God's message isn't do more, it's come close. Before the clock takes over and the weight of plans begins to press in, hear this quiet truth. Not all clarity comes from knowing what to do. Sometimes it comes from knowing whom to follow. You weren't created to rise each day grasping for control. You were created to be led. Pope Leo XIV once said that the compass of the soul is not logic but trust, not certainty but surrender. Psalm 91 reminds us of that holy alignment. He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in him will I trust. That's not just comfort, it's a divine positioning. Peace is not earned by perfection, it's found by placement, by resting beneath the shelter of the Almighty. Maybe the exhaustion you feel isn't because you're doing too little. Maybe it's because you're doing too much on your own. You don't need to navigate by stress, by fear, or by urgency. Follow the morning light of his presence. Let your first decision today be surrender, not strategy. Trust isn't weakness. It's where true strength begins. Trust changes the atmosphere of your soul. When your thoughts start with, I have to, let your heart answer with, God is. He is your refuge. He is your compass. He is your strength. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches that healing begins the moment we stop trying to manage every outcome and start allowing God to lead us gently. Your soul was never designed to guide itself. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, not just for salvation, but for every step forward. The more you look inward for direction, the more you'll feel unsteady. But the more you lift your eyes, the more you'll find peace. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are being led. Lord, quiet the noise within me that demands control. Be the compass of my soul. Lead me by your peace, not my panic. I trust you with today. I trust you with me. What have you been using as your internal compass? Fear, pressure, approval, or God's voice? How might your day shift if trust replaced tension? Where in your life do you need to remember that God is your fortress? He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In him will I trust. Take one slow, deep breath before beginning your day. Let that breath be your invitation to let go. Let it remind you, God, you are my guide. Let that truth interrupt the anxious cycles. Let today be directed by trust, not understanding. Let Jesus take the lead. There is a sacred moment between sleep and striving, a quiet space where God's voice is clearest. Before the emails, the tension, and the demands of the day, God whispers, you don't have to be strong to surrender. You only have to be still. The world teaches you to rise with performance, to clothe yourself in productivity before you're even fully awake. But Psalm 91 teaches something entirely different. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. This is not weakness, it's wisdom. God is not waiting for your strength. He is offering you his shelter. Before you fight today's battles, remember, God is already fighting for you. Jesus invites you to abide, not achieve, to dwell, not to do. His rhythm is gentler than the world's rush. It is not about what you can carry, it's about where you choose to rest. Let this be the hour you choose presence over pressure, surrender over striving, peace over performance. Lisa Bevere once spoke of the violence we do to our own souls when we confuse control with protection. You may be guarding your time, your heart, your home, but are you guarding it from God too? Psalm 23 reminds us that the shepherd makes us lie down in green pastures and restores our soul, not through effort, but through stillness. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is stop performing and start resting. To trust God is to stop auditioning for His attention and start receiving His affection. Trust is not an act of risk, it's an act of return. Return to the one who calms storms, who lifts you above the waves, who holds your name in His hand. You don't have to be God. You don't have to have it all figured out to be faithful. If you release control early, you won't need to wrestle with panic later. Jesus, I lay down my need to have it all figured out. I give you the beginning of my day. Be my strength before the world ever asks for it. I trust you to carry what I cannot. I hide in you. What do I usually try to handle before I pause or pray? How would today feel different if I started in survival, not survival? What if real strength began not by bracing but by bowing? I dwell in the secret place of the Most High and abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Before checking your phone, your inbox, your plans, place your hand over your heart and say, God, I give you today. Let me live from your peace, not my pressure. That's not a ritual. It's the beginning of awakening. As the sun rises over a weary world, there are cries too quiet for headlines and wounds too deep for words. Somewhere, a child wakes not to breakfast, but to sirens. A mother clutches her child beneath a broken sky. A father stands where his home once was. And here you are, safe, breathing, awake. This is not guilt, this is grace. Grace that invites you to remember. Your morning prayer is never just for you. It is for the terrified, the brokenhearted, the innocent. Psalm 91 is not only a shield for your soul, it is a shelter you can share. He shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. What if your first breath today became a blanket of mercy for someone else? What if your peace became a prayer for those who have none? God's message is clear. The heart that trusts Him most is the one that believes not only for itself, but on behalf of others. This is the morning to lift your voice higher than your needs and wider than your world. You are not just someone starting a new day. You are a vessel of intercession, a whisper of hope in God's ear. Pope Leo XIV once said, "The measure of trust is not what we ask for ourselves, but what we believe God will do for others." This is the moment to believe big for someone you've never met, to pray for mercy where miracles seem overdue, to become part of the healing Jesus is already offering. Let Psalm 91 rise from personal comfort to global calling, and as your lips form words, may your heart expand with compassion. Lord, we lift to you all who suffer in silence today, from war, fear, and destruction. Cover the innocent with your mercy. Bind up the brokenhearted. Shine peace where hatred has stolen light. You are the God of healing, not of sides. We trust you to do what only you can. Let angels surround every wounded soul. Let hope awaken where despair has dwelled too long. And use us, Lord, as carriers of your peace. How often do I pray beyond my own needs? Can I let my peace today become a prayer for someone else's breakthrough? What if compassion is the highest form of trust? He shall give his angels charge over me to keep me in all my ways. Take 60 seconds today to pause and intercede. Name someone, somewhere, or something outside your own life and ask for God's mercy to touch them. You may never see the result, but heaven always hears. This is trust in action. This is Psalm 91 in motion. There is a silence deeper than stillness. It is the quiet path where Jesus walks, unnoticed by chaos, undisturbed by the unknown. This is the path He invites you to walk today. Not a path marked by perfect clarity, but one defined by His presence. When your future feels foggy and uncertain, He doesn't hand you a map. He offers you His hand. Psalm 91 doesn't command you to figure things out. It invites you to dwell in the secret place. That place isn't a location, it's a person. And that person is Jesus, the one who knows every possible outcome and still leads you with perfect peace. This morning, God's message isn't about having all the answers. It's about walking with the one who does. The shepherd never asks you to be fearless. He asks you to follow. And even though the valley may be shadowed, you are not abandoned. You are guided. So often, we think faith must roar, loud declarations, urgent actions, bold leaps. But sometimes faith is quiet. It's getting out of bed with shaky knees and whispering, "Jesus, I trust you." Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that emotional healing often begins in stillness, not striving. If your heart feels heavy with confusion today, it may not be failure. It may be an invitation to slow down and let peace lead. The world will demand fast answers and confident decisions, but God's peace isn't found in speed. It's found in surrender. His peace is not made of answers. It's made of presence. Psalm 23 says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." You are not called to sprint through the fog. You are called to walk closely with the shepherd. When clarity escapes you, closeness is enough. Jesus doesn't require perfection. He asks for pace. Slow enough to notice him, near enough to hear him, soft enough to follow. Jesus, I'm tired of trying to see the whole path. Help me walk one step at a time with you. When I feel afraid or unsure, be my peace. Be my shepherd. Lead me through this fog. I trust you. Where am I trying to force clarity that only God can provide? What if the path to peace isn't found in planning, but in presence? How can I walk slowly enough today to notice Jesus walking beside me? Though I walk through the shadow of the valley, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Choose one quiet moment today, on your commute, during a break, or while washing dishes, and whisper, "Jesus, lead me." You don't need a plan to move forward. You just need his presence. Trust begins not with knowing, but with surrender. There's a particular pain that comes not from lack of effort, but from watching your best plans fall apart. You prayed, prepared, believed, and still the door closed. The dream slipped. The outcome changed. It can feel like silence from heaven, or worse, abandonment. But God's message in Psalm 91 reminds you, your safety was never found in the plan. It was always found in his presence. He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. That means God doesn't just rescue you from external harm. He rescues you from the inner trap of thinking your way was the only way forward. What looks like collapse might be the clearing God uses to build something better. Trust doesn't erase your disappointment, but it gives it a home. Pope Leo XIV once said that what we call failure, God often calls freedom. When your strategy dissolves, the space is cleared for God's story to emerge more beautifully, more powerfully, and more faithfully than what you had planned. It's okay to grieve what didn't happen. It's okay to feel the loss. But don't let that grief convince you that you've been forgotten. God is not obligated to honor the plans you made without him, but he is faithful to redeem them when placed back into his hands. Lisa Bevere reminds us that disappointment is often the birthplace of deeper intimacy with God. Your broken plan is not your final chapter. Jesus is not behind you. You didn't leave him somewhere in your past. He is already ahead, preparing safe ground for your next step. Your ruin is not your ruin. It's the soil of resurrection. When everything feels uncertain, you don't need to scramble for a new strategy. You need to return to the presence that has always been enough. Trust that God's redirection is not punishment. It's provision. Let today be the day you stop holding your blueprint so tightly and begin opening your hands to the better future God is writing, even if you can't see it yet. God, I release the blueprints I clung to. I place my future into your hands again. You are the builder, the shepherd, the author of my story. Let my disappointment become the doorway to deeper trust. I choose your way forward. Where have I been grieving a plan instead of asking for God's path? Can I trust that God is still leading me, even when it looks like loss? What new possibility might arise if I surrendered the need to understand everything? He shall deliver me from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. If something feels broken today, don't rush to fix it. Sit with it, offer it, whisper, God, show me what you're building from this. The surrender of your plan may be the birthplace of peace. God's way forward always begins where your control ends. Before you rush into the day, pause, breathe, listen. You are not being driven by pressure, you are being led by peace. The world demands urgency, but Jesus offers presence. The shepherd is here, and he knows the way. Good morning, Lord. Today, I choose to remember that I am not my own guide. You are my shepherd. Lead me beside still waters. Restore my soul. Let me walk at the pace of grace, not pressure. End of deadlines, decisions, distractions. The noise of the world tries to convince you that you must move faster, decide quicker, achieve more. But Psalm 23 whispers something countercultural. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. This is not a funeral song, it's a leadership anthem. It declares a way of living, not rushed by fear, but rooted in trust. Jesus is not a distant overseer of your life. He is an involved shepherd, one who knows the terrain, sees the dangers, and chooses the pace. He leads with peace, not pressure, with stillness, not striving. Lisa Bevere reminds us that God's guidance isn't proven by volume, but by presence. He doesn't push, he calls. He doesn't demand, he invites. Pope Leo XII once said, "The most mature believers are not those who charge ahead, but those who follow when the path disappears." Real trust isn't found in clarity, it's found in closeness, and the shepherd is never far. When you are overwhelmed trying to lead yourself, remember this: God doesn't need your roadmap. He is your roadmap. He knows where green pastures lie. He knows where still waters wait. Your job is not to understand the entire journey. It's to stay close. If your life feels frantic, check your pace. The shepherd does not rush, he restores. Jesus, you are my shepherd. I surrender my leadership to yours. Help me follow where you lead, even when I don't understand. Let your peace guide my pace, and your presence be my rest. Where am I following the shepherd? And where am I just following my schedule? Where do I need to slow down and remember that God already knows the way? What do still waters look like in this season of my life? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Today, take a walk or sit in stillness with no agenda. Whisper, lead me, Lord. Let that be your morning meditation, not your final effort, but your first trust. Let Jesus set your rhythm. Lord, thank you that I don't have to lead myself today. Thank you for being the kind of shepherd who restores what stress has stolen. Lead me to still waters. Let my soul remember. Peace is found not in doing more, but in drawing near. If this prayer brought your heart back into rhythm, share where the shepherd is leading you today. Tag someone carrying too much. Remind them, you're not meant to lead yourself. You're meant to be led. There's a voice in your head, racing, predicting, spiraling, but that voice is not your author. Fear is not your narrator. Anxiety is not writing your story. God is. His word declares in Psalm 91, "Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day." That is not denial, that is divine authority. Today you are safe, not because of your plans, but because of His presence. You are steady, not because of certainty, but because of His covering. The mind spins what-ifs and worst-case scenarios, but the voice of the shepherd is deeper still, and it calls you to remember your story is not written in fear, but in faith. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that anxiety is not the intruder, it is the alarm system. It shows you where healing is needed, not where faith has failed. And Jesus, the healer of hearts, doesn't silence your fear with shame. He invites it into the shelter of truth. Pope Leo XIV once taught that the antidote to mental torment isn't found in more understanding, but in deeper surrender. So when your thoughts scream for control, whisper back with trust. God, I don't need to know what's next, I just need to know you are near. The storm around you may rage, but it doesn't define you. You are not your panic, you are not your past, you are not your triggers, you are His. You don't need to fight your way to peace, you only need to follow the shepherd's voice through the valley. Psalm 23 doesn't say there won't be valleys, it promises that you won't walk them alone. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. If anxiety rises this morning, don't see it as failure. See it as a signal that God wants to meet you there, not with rebuke, but with restoration. The same God who walks through the shadows with you also sits you beside still waters. Let Him author your day. Let Him rewrite the narrative that fear has tried to control. Speak this aloud. God, I bring you my spinning thoughts and trembling heart. I release my grip on understanding. Write your peace over my fear. Let your truth interrupt my worry. You are the author of my story. What thoughts have been writing the loudest narrative in your life? Am I letting God's word or my anxiety shape today's decisions? What would change if I believed God's peace is already mine, not something I have to earn? I shall not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Whenever anxiety rises, speak this aloud. God is writing my story, not fear. Repeat it as many times as needed. Anchor yourself not in the need for answers, but in the one who understands you completely. Let your heart rest, not in the absence of fear, but in the presence of God. True strength isn't born in striving, it's born in surrender. In God's kingdom, the strongest move you can make is not to grasp tighter, but to let go. Psalm 91 says, because He hath set His love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. Deliverance doesn't come from your performance. It comes from your love, your trust, your surrender. You don't have to strive to be strong. You only need to stay surrendered. God isn't asking for more effort. He's asking for more trust. Before you reach for control today, reach for Him. Before you tighten your grip, open your hands. Surrender is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's worship. And the more you surrender, the more strength God imparts. Pope Leo XIV once said, surrender is the muscle of the soul. Every time you choose trust over tension, peace over panic, humility over hustle, you become stronger. Even Jesus, the perfect Son, said, not my will, but yours. That wasn't giving up, it was giving over. Lisa Bevere reminds us that what the world calls fragile, God calls faithful. Surrender is the quiet strength of a heart choosing to rest instead of resist, to yield instead of strive. You are not the answer, but you are loved by the one who is. Psalm 23 shows us that even in the presence of our enemies, God sets a table. But to sit and receive, you must first lay down your sword, lay down the pressure, the perfectionism, the illusion that it's all up to you. Let God lead you from fear to faith, from panic to peace, from control to comfort. God, I lay down the weapons of control, fear, and self-reliance. Teach me that surrender is not weakness, but worship. I open my hands today. Fill them with your peace. Be my strength where I let go. Where have I been confusing control with strength? What would it look like to surrender in that area and trust God instead? How does surrender feel when I see it as worship, not weakness? Because I have set my love upon God, He will deliver me and set me on high. Choose one specific area, your health, your finances, a relationship, and say aloud, God, I surrender this to you. Then breathe deep. Let that breath be your release. Your strength will rise where your surrender begins. Let this be the day you trust the process of letting go and discover the strength that comes only through surrender. Some mornings, the fog isn't outside, it's within. Doubt, uncertainty, the ache of not knowing. You want to believe, but you can't see far enough ahead to feel safe. But in the midst of your questions, God's voice still speaks. You are not alone in this fog. Psalm 91 says, "He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble." His message today is not that you must clear the fog yourself, but that he is already walking through it with you. You're not behind. You're not faithless. You are simply human, and you are deeply loved. His presence isn't earned by confidence. It's offered in compassion. He meets you right here, in the uncertainty. His promise is not reserved for the sure, but given to the surrendered. The fog may block your vision, but it cannot block his presence. Even when you feel lost, he knows the way forward. Pope Leo XII once taught that doubt is not the enemy of faith, it is the invitation into deeper intimacy. When your answers are few, but your heart still turns toward God, you are growing. You may not know where the road leads, but you know who walks beside you. Jesus never shamed the doubters. He came close. To Thomas, he showed his scars. To Peter, he restored his calling. To you, he draws near. Lisa Bever reminds us that faith doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just whispers, "I'll take the next step anyway." Psalm 23 says, "He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake." He restores because he knows you get tired. He leads because he knows you get lost. And he is not leading from a distance. He's right beside you. Trust doesn't mean the fog clears instantly. It means you choose someone over the need to see everything clearly. Lord, the fog is thick today. I don't know all the answers, but I trust you're near. Walk with me in this doubt. Speak through the silence. Lead me forward, even when my heart is unsure. What doubts am I carrying that I've been too afraid to name? How can I invite God into my uncertainty instead of trying to hide it? What would faith look like today, even in the fog? When I call upon the Lord, he will answer me. He is with me in trouble and will deliver me. Don't rush to clarity. Instead, write your questions down and place them before God. Whisper, "I trust you with my questions." Let today be a walk of trust, not certainty. The shepherd is still leading. Even in the fog, you are never lost. In a world that worships hustle and rushes through healing, rest can feel like rebellion. But in God's kingdom, rest isn't laziness. It's faith in motion. Psalm 91 says, "He shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." Abiding is not passive. It is a holy decision to pause, to breathe, to trust. Today, God's message is clear. You don't have to earn rest. You are invited into it. Your worth isn't measured by your output. You are deeply loved before you do anything. Rest, especially in the morning, is not quitting. It's trusting. It's saying, "I believe you, Lord, more than I believe the pressure of my calendar." This is not an escape from purpose. It's a return to divine rhythm. Even Jesus withdrew to quiet places, not because he was weak, but because he was aligned. Lisa Bever reminds us that rest recalibrates the soul. It brings us back to the truth that we are not our own source. We don't have to earn oxygen. We don't have to earn love. Rest is not a delay in the journey. It is the fuel that carries us forward in grace. Psalm 23 echoes this invitation. "He maketh me to lie down in green pastures." God doesn't suggest rest. He makes us lie down because he knows we can't receive when we're constantly surviving. Pope Leo XIV once said that the soul wakes up fully not through movement, but through stillness rightly placed in God's presence. Spiritual awakening doesn't begin with striving. It begins with stopping. It begins when we lay down the belief that rest is weakness and pick up the truth that rest is worship. You may be tempted to push harder today, but the Spirit may be whispering, pause. I've got this. God is working even when you're still. He's moving even when you're quiet. The most spiritual thing you might do today is nothing. If that nothing is rooted in trust, you are not behind. You are being held. You don't have to outrun grace. You just have to receive it. Lord, I lay down the belief that rest is weakness. I receive your invitation to abide. Make me lie down where peace can reach me. Wake up my soul through stillness. I trust you more than my to-do list. Where am I resisting rest because I believe I haven't earned it? How would my spiritual life change if I treated rest as worship, not reward? What one thing can I pause today to show that I trust God's timing more than mine? I abide under the shadow of the Almighty. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Take 5 sacred minutes today. No screens, no striving, just silence and stillness. Whisper, God, I receive your rest. That quiet moment may be the beginning of your true awakening. Rest isn't quitting. It's trusting. Let God restore what hurry has worn down. You've known those nights, the ones where silence screams, thoughts spiral, and peace feels like a stranger. Those hours when every shadow feels heavier and every fear louder. But morning has come, and with it, God's message. You were never alone in the night, and you won't be alone today. Psalm 91 says, Thou shalt not be afraid for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. That darkness includes not just physical threats, but mental torment, emotional unrest, and soul warfare. Yet here you are, awake, not because you figured it all out, but because God covered you. He didn't slumber while you tossed and turned. He stood guard. He whispered over you. He surrounded you with his peace when you couldn't reach it for yourself. Dr. Anita Phillips reminds us that sleeplessness isn't always about stress, it's about the need for safety. And God meets that need, not just when we speak, but even in the silence. Pope Leo XIV once said that sleep is spiritual trust. To rest is to say, the world keeps turning without me. Because God is still God, let the morning light now silence the lies of the night. Let the weight you carried in the dark be surrendered in the dawn. Psalm 91 continues, Surely he shall deliver thee. Under his wings shalt thou trust. His wings are not a metaphor. They're a place to live, a shelter, a resting place, a covering. Jesus, the Prince of Peace, offers you himself. Not just answers, not just temporary relief, but the abiding presence of peace that stays when the night tries to return. Let this be the morning you stop replaying what you couldn't fix and start receiving what God has already promised. Peace isn't something you have to earn. It's someone you already belong to. You don't have to outrun your fears today. You only have to rest in the truth that you're not carrying them alone. God, thank you for keeping me through the night. I surrender what I couldn't fix in the dark. Let your peace fill every space that fear left behind. I rest in your wings today. I am safe with you. What thoughts kept me awake, and what is God saying over them now? Have I made peace something I chase instead of something I receive? How can I let Psalm 91 become the final word over every anxious night? I shall not be afraid for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. Under his wings I will trust. Write down one fear from the night and one truth from God's word that speaks louder. Keep it beside your bed as a daily declaration. Sleepless nights do not define me, God's covering does. Let Psalm 91 be your lullaby at night and your anthem each morning. There's a battle you fight before your feet even hit the floor, not with fists, but with thoughts. One voice tells you to fix everything, fear everything, and prepare for every worst-case scenario. The other voice, quieter but stronger, says, Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 91 reminds you, His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Truth may not be the loudest voice in the room, but it is always the most powerful. Today, God's message is this: the battlefield is in your mind, but the victory is already in His hands. Anxiety may speak first, but peace has the final word. Your thoughts may race with what ifs and never agains, but Jesus speaks of who He is, your refuge, your fortress, your God. Lisa Bevere says, "The mind isn't a battlefield you escape, it's one you reclaim." Pope Leo XIV reminds us that silence isn't the absence of thought, it's the space where the Spirit speaks louder than your assumptions. So when your mind begins to spiral, don't fight the thought with panic, replace it with truth. Declared, "The Lord is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust." That one truth has the power to dismantle 1,000 lies. Psalm 23 adds another layer. "Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over." In ancient times, shepherds anointed a sheep's head to protect it from insects that could burrow into the ears and torment the mind. In the same way, God anoints your mind to protect you from deception, but He can only anoint what you surrender. Let Him in, let Him speak, let Him lead. Today, you fight not with panic, but with presence. Let Him lead you from a fear that makes you afraid, not with presence. You are not alone. His truth is your shield. His voice is your victory. God, anoint my thoughts today. When fear rises, speak louder. When I forget who I am, remind me who you are. Your truth is my shield. I will trust in you alone. I choose your voice above my own. What voice has been shaping my emotions most lately? God's or my own? How can I make space to hear the shepherd more clearly today? What would it mean to let truth shield me instead of trying to fix everything? What would it mean to let truth shield me instead of trying to fix everything? His truth is my shield and buckler. I will not be afraid, for my God is with me. When your mind spirals today, pause. Replace the fear with Psalm 91:4 or Psalm 23:5. Let God's voice become the loudest one in your heart. Peace isn't the absence of thought, it's the presence of truth. Let that be your rhythm today. You don't need to see the future to be secure. You need to trust the one who already stands in it. And trust doesn't grow in chaos, it grows in quiet. Christian meditation is not escape, it's encounter. It's not emptiness, it's anchoring. Psalm 91 invites you to dwell, to abide, to hide in the shelter of the Almighty. When your soul stops striving, you begin to sense what can't be seen. God is already here. Christian meditation begins where hurry ends. It isn't about clearing your mind, it's about filling it with truth. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. That isn't a mantra, it's a miracle in motion. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches that healing begins when body, mind, and spirit meet God in stillness. Pope Leo XIV once wrote, "Stillness is the sanctuary where faith sees what eyes cannot." Lisa Bevere reminds us, when we rest in God's word, our hearts stop performing and start receiving. This is what meditation makes possible. Soul realignment. God's voice isn't always loud. It often comes as a whisper that says, "You are safe. I am here. Let go." That whisper grows loudest when everything else quiets down. You may not feel your fear disappear, but you will sense your foundation strengthen. The pause becomes the power. Breathe in, God is with me. Breathe out, I trust you. That rhythm is worship. That moment is transformation. Let this morning be your sacred reset. Lord, I slow down my thoughts to meet you here. Speak to me in the quiet. Let your word be my focus. Let trust grow where fear once lived. Teach me to meditate not on outcomes, but on you. What would change if I made space for quiet meditation each morning? How has fear been louder than God's promises lately? Where can I trade striving for stillness today? I dwell in the secret place of the Most High. I will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Set a timer for 5 minutes today. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, meditate on Psalm 91:1. Let peace in, let anxiety go. Let trust become the way you walk, not just what you believe. The unseen God is holding your very real heart. Sometimes silence feels like abandonment. When the heavens seem still and your prayers echo back unanswered, you wonder, did God forget me? But here is God's message today. You are not forgotten. You are being carried. Psalm 91 says, "He shall bear thee up in his hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone." That's not poetic comfort, it's a promise of divine proximity. Even when you feel invisible to others, you are never out of God's sight. His hand is beneath you, His care surrounds you, and His memory of you is eternal. Lord, when it feels like no one sees me, remind me that you always do. When the silence feels like distance, let your presence rise louder in my spirit. I trust that I'm not alone. I'm upheld. When prayers feel unanswered and progress feels invisible, the enemy whispers lies. You've been forgotten. But God speaks something deeper. You're in my arms. You are not invisible. You are not abandoned. You are not behind. You are being carried. Pope Leo XIV reminds us, being hidden is not the same as being abandoned. Sometimes God hides you to heal you, to prepare you, to carry you quietly when loud victories would only distract. Jesus, who carries the cross, now carries you. He sees the steps no one claps for. He hears the sighs no one else notices. You may feel overlooked, but you are upheld. Lisa Bevere reminds us that God does His deepest work in seasons when we feel least seen. That hiddenness, it's not punishment, it's protection. If you're walking through a time when nothing seems to move, it may be because you're in His arms, not on your feet. You can't always trace His hand, but you can always trust His heart. Psalm 23 declares, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." That includes today, even the quiet, heavy parts. Trust is believing that when the world forgets your name, God whispers it with love, over and over again. Father, when I feel forgotten, remind me I am being carried. I trust you even in the silence. Thank you for seeing me when no one else does. Let your nearness become my comfort. Let it become my song. Where in my life have I felt invisible, and how might God be present there? What if being unseen right now is actually God's way of protecting or preparing me? How would I live today if I truly believed I am being carried? Shall give His angels charge over me. He shall bear me up in His hands. Write down one area where you feel forgotten. Then speak this truth over it. God sees me. God carries me. I am not alone. Let this become your morning prayer and evening reminder. You are not forgotten. You are held, Lord. Thank you that your love doesn't rely on applause or visibility. Thank you for carrying us in seasons we don't even recognize as sacred. Let today be a reminder that your arms are stronger than our circumstances, and we are never out of reach. Each morning brings with it a choice, to carry the weight of everything or to cast it into the hands of the one who never grows weary. The pressure to get it all right, to move faster, to prove yourself, to hold it all together. That pressure is not from God. His invitation is gentler, deeper, stronger. Let me carry it with you. Lord, as the day begins, I choose surrender over stress. I lay down what I was never meant to carry. Center my soul in your presence, replace the pressure with peace. Let today begin with trust, not tension. We often think peace comes after we've handled it all, but God's peace begins before we've even started. Psalm 91 says, "I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust." That's not a soft whisper. It's a sacred declaration. God never promised a life free from pressure, but He did promise a refuge within it. And that refuge is not a place. It's a person. Dr. Anita Phillips teaches that anxiety thrives where peace is absent, but peace thrives where surrender is active. Peace is not passive. Peace is powerful. It doesn't mean the chaos disappears. It means you don't face it alone. Pope Leo XIV once said the soul was not made to function on tension. It was designed to operate from trust. You were never built to carry it all. You were built to cast it all. So the question isn't, can I do it all? But, do I believe God is enough today? Psalm 23 echoes the same rhythm. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. You don't restore yourself by doing more. You are restored by following the shepherd into peace, moment by moment. Instead of waking up with clenched fists, wake up with open hands. Trade your pressure for his presence. Let your daily prayer become your daily anchor. Lord, I surrender today. I lay down my deadlines, my insecurities, my fears. Fill me with your peace. Be my fortress when I feel overwhelmed. Be my calm within the storm. I trust you with it all. Where is pressure stealing my peace each morning? What would it look like to start my day centered in prayer instead of panic? How does trusting God change the way I face my responsibilities? He is my refuge and my fortress. I trust in him and find my peace. Start your day with this prayer. God, I give you everything I feel responsible for. Breathe deeply. Say it again. Do it again tomorrow. Let this daily prayer become the door to daily peace. The pressure is not your identity. God's presence is. Father, thank you that we don't have to prove, perform, or push our way into peace. Thank you that your presence is our peace. Today we lay down the load and rise in the rhythm of rest. Carry what we cannot. Be what we need. You've prayed, you've waited, and still, no answer. The silence feels heavy. The unknown stretches ahead, long and unclear. But God's gentle message this morning is this: I'm already in the outcome. Your job is to dwell. Mine is to deliver. Father, I come not with clarity, but with open hands. I'm weary of trying to solve what only surrender can open. Teach me to rest, not in what I know, but in who I know. Let trust rise where control once lived. Not knowing is one of life's heaviest burdens. It tempts the heart to overthink, to strive, to force outcomes. But Psalm 91 doesn't say, "He who figures it all out shall abide." It says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." Dwelling isn't about fixing, it's about trusting, even when the answers haven't arrived. Pope Leo XIV reminds us that faith doesn't grow in clarity, it deepens in mystery. When the path is lit, trust feels easy, but when you can't see what's ahead, that's when the roots grow deep and your faith anchors firm. Lisa Bevere says it clearly: outcomes don't build character, obedience in the unknown does. Even Jesus, in Gethsemane, walked through uncertainty. Yet his trust was not in outcome, but in the Father. Not my will, but yours be done. That's not weakness. That's the strength of surrender. Psalm 23 offers this sacred assurance. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. God doesn't wait for resolution to show up. He blesses in the middle of the battle. Quietly, steadily, faithfully. You don't have to know where this ends. You only need to stay close. The outcome belongs to God. Your trust is your offering. Lord, I surrender my need to know. I give you the outcome. Let my soul find peace in your presence, not in predictions. Even when I can't see the way, I trust that you are good and you are guiding me. Where am I waiting for an answer before I allow myself to rest? What outcome am I gripping too tightly instead of placing in God's hands? How can I practice dwelling, not just asking, for peace today? I dwell under the shadow of the Almighty. I will not fear the unknown, for my God is already there. Write down one outcome you've been obsessing over. Say aloud, God, I trust you with this. Then leave it on the altar of your heart. Every time the anxiety returns, so does the practice. Trust isn't a feeling, it's a decision, a rhythm, a daily act of surrender. Let it begin again, now. Lord, thank you for being faithful, even in the fog. Thank you that the unknown is never unknown to you. Today, we release what we can't control and embrace what we can. Your presence, walk with us, guide us, carry us. We dwell in trust because you dwell with us. There's a moment, quiet, raw, sacred, when you realize you have nothing left. Not because you failed, but because you stood, because you were faithful. And now, you're weary. But this is not the end. This is where grace begins. Lord, I've come to the edge of myself. My strength is thin. My patience is stretched. I've reached the end, and I'm done pretending. I don't need more willpower. I need you. Not more doing, but more dwelling, more presence, more grace. Psalm 91 offers comfort, not in commands, but in companionship. Because he hath set his love upon me, I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him. God's message isn't try harder. It's, you've done enough. Now, let me. You were never meant to carry everything. You were created to lean, to trust, to receive. You don't have to earn God's help. You only have to stop pretending you don't need it. Pope Leo XIV said it beautifully. The end of your limit is where God's Spirit speaks loudest. That breaking point you've reached, it's not failure. It's a doorway. It's where divine strength begins. Lisa Bevere calls this holy exhaustion, not born of striving, but of standing in faith longer than you thought possible. If you feel empty today, it might not be a sign of weakness, but of faithfulness. And Jesus doesn't call the strong, he calls the weary. Your exhaustion doesn't disqualify you, it qualifies you for grace. Psalm 23 meets us here too. He restoreth my soul. He doesn't push, he doesn't demand, he restores. And when you have nothing left, he doesn't ask for more. He offers rest, renewal, reassurance. His grace is sufficient. You don't need a plan. You don't need more strength. You just need to whisper, God, I'm at the end. And heaven replies, now I can begin. Lord, I'm tired. I've tried. I've stood. I've waited. And now I give it all to you. Meet me here in the middle of my limit. Be my strength. Be my restoration. Be my enough. Where have I been pretending I'm okay when I'm actually depleted? What if admitting I'm empty is the bravest thing I could do today? How does it feel to believe that God isn't disappointed in my limits, but drawn to them? He restoreth my soul. His grace is sufficient. I am not alone in my exhaustion. Find one quiet moment today and whisper, God, I've reached my limit. Let those words become a sacred invitation, not a resignation but a revelation. Grace doesn't begin when you're strong. It begins when you're willing to be carried. Lord, thank you for not waiting until we're strong to love us. Thank you that your grace doesn't come after effort. It meets us in exhaustion. Let every weary heart find your arms today. Let limits become launchpads for love. You are our enough. You don't need to be covered by certainty. You need to be covered by God. And this morning, he reminds you, you are not unprotected. You are under my wings. The storm may rage, but his shelter never moves. Father, before I step into the unknowns of today, I step into the shadow of your wings. Wrap me in the warmth of your presence. Replace my worry with wonder, my fear with faith. You are my shield, you are my peace. Psalm 91 gives us one of the most comforting promises in all of Scripture. Shall cover thee with his feathers. and under his wings shalt thou trust. Psalm 91:4. This isn't poetic fluff, it's a miracle. Not fragile or symbolic, but strong and supernatural. God's wings aren't decoration, they are defense. And no matter what threatens your peace today, his wings are stronger than your worry. Lisa Bevere says it well. God's protection doesn't always look like escape. It often looks like endurance. He doesn't always lift you out of the storm, but he covers you inside it. Pope Leo XIV once said, "Faith is the decision to rest beneath what we don't understand and still believe we're safe." That's the power of abiding. God is not pushing you to perform. He's pulling you closer to peace, closer to his presence. Jesus once wept over Jerusalem with this longing. "How often would I have gathered thy children together, as a hen gathereth her brood under her wings." That longing has never changed. His wings remain wide. His invitation remains open. You don't have to earn his protection. You only have to come near. So when your thoughts spiral, when fear rises, when control seems like the only answer, pause. Don't run towards solutions. Run towards shelter, not by predicting the future, but by trusting the one who holds it. Father, I come under your wings today. I surrender every anxious outcome. Wrap me in your nearness. Shield me from fear. Let my refuge be found not in knowing, but in being known by you. What am I trying to protect myself from that God has already covered? How can I stay close to the wings of God today? Through prayer, trust, or stillness? Do I truly believe his covering is stronger than my ability to prepare? Under his wings I trust. He is my refuge, my covering, my peace. Each time worry rises today, place your hand over your heart and whisper, "I am covered." Let that be your anthem. Let the image of his wings calm your thoughts and lift your eyes. This is the power of abiding. His strength becomes your shield. Lord, thank you for covering us when we feel exposed. Thank you that your wings are wide enough for every fear, every doubt, every unknown. Today we rest, not because life is easy, but because you are enough. Let our hearts stay close and our trust stay deep. As these words settle in your spirit, receive this final benediction of trust. You are not stepping into the unknown. You are being carried into it. The God of Psalm 91 surrounds you. The shepherd of Psalm 23 leads you. The Prince of Peace walks beside you. What began today as a search for calm has become a revelation of covering. Trust is no longer a theory. It is your melody. Today does not belong to pressure, panic, or performance. It belongs to the one who breathed life into your lungs before you even rose. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are not alone. You are exactly where grace meets you. Pope Leo XIV once wrote, "Trust is not the elimination of risk, but the embrace of divine rhythm." Your rhythm today is not chaos. It is covered, not control, but consent to the shepherd's leading. Lisa Bevere reminds us, the end of self-reliance is the beginning of holy strength, and that is where you now stand, at the threshold of divine help. What you do today matters, but not more than who you are, beloved, seen, covered. Psalm 91 ends with this promise, "With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation." Psalm 91:16. That long life is not just measured in years, but in peace, in presence, in the quiet moments where heaven touches earth through your surrendered heart. You are now a carrier of this trust. Let it influence your words, your posture, your pace. Lift your head, breathe deep, walk forward, not alone, but with the wings of the Almighty above you and the strength of Jesus within you. Lord, thank you for this sacred morning. I receive this day as a gift. I trust your voice above every noise. Let my life today reflect peace, surrender, and your everlasting embrace. Amen. What truth from this prayer will guide your decisions today? Where is God inviting you to trust instead of strive? Who needs the overflow of your peace How will you share what you've received? With long life, he satisfies me. His salvation is my covering and my call. Carry today like a sacred assignment, not in pressure, but in peace. Share this prayer with someone who feels lost or burdened. Be the reminder, God's message today is trust, and they are not alone.